Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined Mr. Augustin Sasarman. And you know what? Let's bring him on down. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Marcus. How about you?
I'm doing well, my friend. Augustine, we had a chance to meet when I spoke in Toronto, Midtown, for the TEDx Masuga. Great event. You were there for something else for your career. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But Augustine, first question, sir. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you?
I think the word authenticity is something that has been very important throughout my life. To kind of quickly go through it, I'm a film director. I'm a young film director, and to have followed a career path, which many people would suggest not to take because of the risks, the unconventionality of it, to stay authentic to my true self and to my voice and what I knew I was put on this world to do has been one of the most important things throughout my life. So, that quality of authenticity is so incredibly important throughout my journey.
You know, Augustine, I really respect that. And so please tell our audience about your chosen career path and what you are doing now with your gifts and talents.
So, I'm a movie director. I've been a movie director since I started making movies at 12 years old. I'm now 19 years old, up to date. I've always believed it's I was a high competitive, high performance athlete throughout my life, and so the idea of whatever you do, do your best. It's like lifting weights. You can't be big unless you lift the weights. I kind of took that through to my filmmaking journey, and so I got used to continuously working on my craft. Up to date, I've made a bit more than 25 short films, and my first feature film at 17, so a bit more than a year ago now. And I just see it as the beginning of the long-term journey. None of this is a passion project. It is really I try to stay long-term focused, and so I'm entering production on my second feature film this summer, and then many more feature films to come after that.
You know, Augustine, this is fantastic, man. I got so many questions. I'm a big moviegoer, always have been since I was 22 years old, and a little bit older than you. Playing in the NFL, I fell in love with popcorn, soda, air conditioning
Yeah.
in the summertime when I was playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, living in Jacksonville, Florida. So it was hot, and I didn't like the heat because I had to work outside as an athlete. So I found the movies. It was fantastic. So great stuff here. Before we get into that, right, Augustine, let me ask you this question. How does being authentic and or showing authenticity help you in your chosen career path?
It's like I briefly talked about earlier in the podcast. It really has been the most important thing to kind of remind myself of, because it's hard to stay authentic. Most people think that you're born with authenticity or whatever, and but the reality is it's a something you strive for every day, every second of every day. The only reason why I haven't quit or stopped when it got hard is because I had to remind myself who I truly am, what I truly love to do, and again, just staying authentic has kept me on my journey when things have gone really hard.
You know, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's so important to understand this. You heard Augustine say it. He never quit because he had that inner drive to just keep going. And the only way you lose in life is if you quit. If you don't quit, you never lose. You're always in a position to win. So I'm really loving this because he's so young and he has already got that the bison mindset where just keep pushing through storms and don't allow any type of fear or adversity or hardship to stop you from going where you want to go. So Augustine, you said you've done a lot of short films, feature films. Can you please explain to our global audience the type of short films you've done or the type of feature films you've done? Because I'm going somewhere with this because even in the US, I think I don't know if it's shown in Canada, but I know in the US, right? There are two films that are out right now that have been
Yeah.
created by exceptionally young producers. Backrooms, their producer is 20 years old. And the other one is Obsession. He's only 26 years old. That's it. And both of those films were not thought to go and be able to do much of anything. Both of those films have been breaking box office records all across the United States, and it still keeps climbing. And I love it because what I hope is happening is I hope people are seeing how young these producers are and how great these movies are, and now getting behind them because not only are they young, but they're super talented. We'll get to that in a moment. But again, Augustine, talk to our audience about the type of feature films and short films you like to produce.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to touch quickly on what you said, it's crazy what's happening in the industry right now. I mean, Obsession just became A24's highest grossing, uh, was it highest grossing film they ever made, and they just released that huge movie with Timothy Chalamet. It's insane. But for my particular films, I I don't really stick to one genre. I know what genres I like to stay away from, but what I kind of my voice, my specific vision is more related to my general philosophy in terms of filmmaking. So as a director, I take a lot of inspiration from much older directors, like many others, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, James Cameron. But I really miss, Walt Disney. I really miss that type of filmmaking from decades ago. That that the type of movie you'd watch with like Jaws or Jurassic Park. Those movies that feel older and people have just accepted as, oh, it was great while we had it, and I guess it's just a part of history now. I don't like that. I No, that's a much deeper conversation. Like, what does that mean? Making a movie like an older type of movie. The whole idea is just that I miss those types of films. I want to make those types of films, movies that heavily rely on characters and beautiful principles and incredible music. And I miss that old-fashioned way of filmmaking, and that's the filmmaking that the way I'm going to approach my films.
I like how you said you do all types of genres, but you got a certain style that you like to do and you like to produce in a certain way. What I feel, right, Augustine, is you're creating your staple piece. You're creating the mission and or mantra you want to be known for. The way, right, Augustine, when it comes to us, people, when they think of our podcast, they think of authenticity right away. When they think of our speaking, they think of the bison mindset, the bison mentality, because we're all about helping people improve leadership, mindset, culture, collaboration, how are we going to put it, right? Augustine, through thriving and charging into the storms. When you charge into the storm like a bison, you come out on the other side faster and you usually thrive through that storm, not just survive. So, Augustine, let's talk about both those movies, okay? Let's talk about
Mhm.
Backrooms, right? The director, the producer is 20 years old. And when I
Yeah.
found that out, because I saw the movie, it really made me feel a sense of wow, this is something that is so riveting. Like this, he can't even go get a drink yet. But he can
Yeah.
produce a film that has really done a phenomenal job, not just breaking records, right, Augustine, but also shattering the type of movie. Because again, it was a very unorthodox, very interesting movie, but it made you think a lot. And I like that because I like movies like that make you think and are not like they're not cookie cutter like everything else. So talk to us from your professional expertise and somebody that's right with his age, you're right, his demographical age range too, right, Augustine, about
Yeah.
Backrooms, your overall thoughts of it, what he's trying to do, and more importantly, right, Augustine, what did he do with that awesome film?
And that's such a great question. It's the big question that everyone is talking about right now. You know, you on LinkedIn or whatever. It's all anyone's talking about. And if I could correct myself, I mistakenly said Obsession was the record breaker. Backrooms, I just mixed up the names. Backrooms is the highest grossing A24 movie. Um, and it really has done so much. Kane Parsons, the 20-year-old director, producer, he's you know, what this really is doing is exactly how you said. It's showing distributors and financiers and all the decision makers, the gatekeepers, that young people can be taken seriously. And the truth about filmmaking, about the film industry, is it's a young man's game run by old men. Right now, the movie industry is still making its big $100 million bets, $200 million bets on these 70, 80-year-old directors, and that's just not how it should be happening. You know, those directors, you know, they've been carrying the entire industry for almost, you know, some of them like 60 years now, and it's about time um, to give the opportunity to these younger filmmakers. So Kane Parsons, 20 years old, Curry Barker, 26 years old, and you know, their presence, their kind of way of getting noticed was using our now public distribution model, social media, which is another huge it's a game changer what's going on in the distribution world, with how you know, Kane Parsons just did his little backrooms short films, and from that he got a $10 million deal to turn that into a feature film. So it also showing a lot of how you can become your own distributor, put yourself out there in the world, and you don't need to wait for that big guy to give you that opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you picked up from Augustine that the movie Backrooms and the producer, and who's 20 years old, he did not sit around and wait for somebody to just tell him to market or promote or to really be out there showcasing himself and his awesome abilities. He got on social media, he put out content, he kept putting out content, and that's how he got found, as you heard Augustine say, for a $10 million investment to make a feature film, which has just given that money back plus all kinds of ROI, which is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it comes down to. If you aren't going to bet on you, why would anybody else? If you're not going to believe in you, why would anybody else? You heard Augustine say it's been challenging to get where he wants to get in his craft. Well, look at me. I've been speaking now for 12 and a half years. The first 2.5 years, not one paid job. Our podcast in June of 2026, where we're at now, our podcast is 4 years old this month. June 22nd is our official 4 year anniversary. That was our first podcast launch. We didn't get to this point where we have all these listeners, we have the system, we have people that are constant. I mean, we're getting 5 to 8 emails per day from people wanting to be on our podcast, but we have a system now. But my point is, we didn't start out this way. We start out as somebody who had an awesome producer in Ben Boquest and a dream of wanting to help people. And we started, but it was very just on my side, we had no system. We had no professionalism. We didn't have a structure. Now we do. My point is, I've gone through hardships just like you have, just like Augustine has. But the key is you can never give up. Now, Augustine, I want to talk about the other movie, Obsession, which has really done some great things because, again, Obsession, same sort of setup, very young filmmaker, 26 years old. He actually, the woman who is the star of Obsession, I just read this earlier, was a gamer. She was a Call of Duty streamer and gamer. Like, from what I understand, I could be wrong, she didn't have much acting background or experience, but I tell you what, she nailed that part because she played it to a T, right? Talk to our audience about how this other young producer with another type of film that people are like, I don't know about this, all that, really pulled together something special on I'll call it yeah, matter of fact, that was actually made, it had a $750,000 budget. 750 is all that they were given to create the entire movie. and they did it masterfully. Talk about that because again, right, Augustine, a shoestring budget doesn't mean you can't have a five-star product with the right setup and the right people.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we're touching on this point because to me, actually, Obsession is the whole story behind it is so much more impressive than the story of Backrooms to me personally. And there's a couple reasons for that. One of them is the first thing I did when I started hearing about the success of Obsession is I looked at the Curry Barker, his past. What did he do? Um, because I know for Kane Parsons with Backrooms, I knew he got the viral Backroom stuff. But with Curry Barker, what I really liked about him is he's been really grinding with filmmaking for many, many years. He's made many short films, most of them in the horror genre. And he really has been, lifting those weights. It's clear that he has been really preparing himself for this opportunity. And the next big thing, which was really impressive, is the budget. I mean, you see a lot of people saying online their budget is the amount of money that huge productions get for catering, and that is not an exaggeration. I mean, they're literally working with nothing and really did the most of it. I mean, the production value by itself is equal to one of a top Hollywood movie, and the most important thing is the storytelling and the directing from Curry Barker. Geez, I never know if it's Curry Baker or Curry Barker. I'm pretty sure it's Curry Barker. But the directing, the storytelling, everything about it is fantastic, and his understanding of filmmaking principles, what makes that low budget make it seem like it's a $5 million movie, $10 million movie. His understanding of how to maximize what he has is very evident. You know his incredible understanding of lighting and composition and everything. It's a very, very interesting story. I'm really excited to see what he does in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's going to be someone to look out for.
Oh, 100%, Augustine. Like, in my opinion, with that movie, he's already somebody to look out for because, like you
Yeah.
said, he was able to do something masterful with a very shoestring budget. And he created something that was so impactful and so just riveting. And so, my next question, right, Augustine, you were talking about how both of the young producers and directors did a phenomenal job with storytelling. And I'm a speaker and a coach and a podcaster and a consultant, and we're very for and an author. I understand how important storytelling is. It's one of the most impressive ways you can communicate. And also, I feel it's one of the most pure forms of art because it takes people from their story, their life, and it puts them in your story, in your life, because they're so they're so just, they're so just encapsulated by what you're saying. They're just so hanging on your every word. Can you please explain to people how, in your work as a film director, producer, storytelling is important, but just not just there, right, Augustine? Please tell our global audience how important of a skill set storytelling is just overall.
Storytelling is the most important thing. I mean, at the surface level, at the tip of the iceberg, you have the movie itself. Being a good storyteller, telling a good story for the film is, of course, the most important thing. But then being a good storyteller with your marketing, you have to be able to tell people, to show people what is this movie going to be? Why should they get excited? Why should they join the email list? Why should they care about this film? That's storytelling in itself. And then then we go into the big thing, which I think is the most universally important skill, the importance of understanding the business side of things. So when you're talking to an investor, how do you sell them on the idea? You're not just the reality is money is the last thing you talk about. First, why do they care about you? Why do they care about what you're doing? That's a story in itself. You have to be able to sell your story. So storytelling is from my very limited experience, much more than me. Storytelling seems to have just been the main, most important thing to understand and practice throughout all stages of building my career, from the making the movie itself to getting investors on board, getting people interested in the film. Everything has been about storytelling. It really is the main thing to the main skill to master.
Ladies and gentlemen, storytelling is the main skill to master. Love that. Augustine, what are some films that you produced that our audience can go and check out? What's coming up next? Like, please give our audience a little bit more insights what you've already produced and what you're working on they can expect to see in the coming short period of time.
Yeah. So far, I've directed and produced my last 25 short films and my first feature film. All of that you can find on my website, ssdentertainment.com. You'll find everything where you can find my stuff from my socials to my YouTube channel where I have my portfolio of films, and a few other things, joining the email list to stay up to date with the updates. Now, the reason why I would join the email list is because things are getting very exciting in the near future. Currently, we've been in pre-production on my next feature film, my second feature film called Storytellers, for about a year now. We're going in production, which means we're starting shooting the film August 24th. Just had the location scout a few days ago, and just really going quickly through the final stages of pre-production. This next feature film of mine is about, if I could talk about it really quick, is about four university friends who get together to make a movie together, like a classic coming of age comedy drama. So that's the next big project. Right now, we've got a timeline of production in August and then post-production after that, and then starting the festival circuit uh, September of 2027. So things are for sure getting exciting over here very soon.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, again, please go to his website and check him out. Support his short films, his feature film, the one he'll be making soon, coming out in September of 2027. Again, great young man with a great head on his shoulders, and he's all about moving forward. And that is the authentic tip of this great interview. In life, life will knock you down. It will. I don't care who you are. Life will knock you down. The key is when life knocks you down, get up. And when life knocks you down again, get up. And when it knocks you down again, get up. Just keep getting up off the canvas. As long as you keep getting up, you're in position to win. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.